Yes, it is recording. This is Constitution PowerPoint Day 1. You laughed, but you'll watch it, I guarantee it. All right. Reasons for the Constitution. This should be pretty much review. We know that we didn't just automatically come up, whenever we broke away from Great Britain, we just didn't automatically start with the Constitution. We had the Articles of Confederation first. Okay? And you've learned that in 8th grade and in previous American history classes that the Articles of Confederation did not work. Okay? It was weak. It didn't please anybody. The big thing that everybody was upset about was representation. Okay? Small states loved it. Why did small states love it? Everybody had equal representation under the Articles of Confederation. So it didn't matter how big of a state you were, how much population you had. Everybody had the exact same amount of say in the government. Okay? So the problem was, though, is when the small states didn't want to agree to anything or change anything, they could block almost everything because there was 5 of them, and to change a law or to pass a new law, you had to have how many of the 13? 9. You had to have 9. Well, there's 5 small states. So if the small states didn't like it, they would just automatically all vote no, and now there's no way that you can get 9, which is why the Articles of Confederation never worked. Okay? The country under the Articles of Confederation was in a ton of debt. Why? Why was the country in a lot of debt? Just got out of war? We're in the middle of the war. Articles of Confederation we're right in the middle of the Revolutionary War. And the big problem with the Articles, and when it comes to debt and income, was what? You couldn't tax. The Articles of Confederation did not allow for taxes. The national government could not tax the states, could not tax the citizens. The only people that could be taxed was that the states could tax its own people. Okay? But the national government could only ask for money from the states. They couldn't demand it. They couldn't say, hey, we're going to have this national tax. It just didn't exist. And the reason being, and why the Articles didn't have that, was why? What were the patriots so... Why didn't they like taxes? The colonists. Why did they not like taxes? Why didn't they allow the national government to have taxes? Because Great Britain, that's what Great Britain was doing to them. That was part of the reason we started the American Revolution, was the fact that, hey, Great Britain's putting all these taxes on us, the tea tax, the sugar tax, the stamp tax, the intolerable acts, all the things that they passed. Okay? So we're tired of that, and we don't want that to happen. That's something that's on the forefront of their minds. They didn't think about it long term and think, okay, if we don't tax anything ever, we're never going to have any money, so that's not going to work. Okay? The debt also causes the states then to tax, which leads you to things like Shays' Rebellion. Okay? In Shays' Rebellion, the farmers are being taxed so much that they can't pay it, so what's the banks doing in the state? Taking away their land. So they come up with a solution. Daniel Shays comes up with a solution of what? How do we stop this from happening? You remember? Shut down the court. Just take over the courts. Don't let anybody in or out. And they take their weapons that they had. Daniel Shay was an American Revolutionary veteran. So he gets all these farmers together, and they basically go to the courthouse and kick everybody out and say nobody's allowed in. If they can't go to the courthouse, they can't close any more farms. Everybody gets to keep their land. Okay? Eventually it gets so bad that George Washington has to basically threaten to say, hey, I'm going to send in troops if you don't get your stuff together. And it worked out for Massachusetts. Okay? The other thing the Articles of Confederation does not do is list out your basic human rights. Okay? Why are we so concerned with those at the time? A list of things that we as citizens of the United States should have. Natural rights. Think about the context. Articles of Confederation, why would not having a list of basic human rights be a problem for these colonists? Have we had that before? Yeah, Great Britain did the exact same thing. They didn't have a list of, they had the English Bill of Rights, but that was being ignored, and they thought that they weren't getting that. Okay? So they want a list. They want a list of basic human rights that everybody should have And we get that eventually. What is it? Bill of Rights. Okay? Bill of Rights. And population. The population is increasing fast, and it's moving west. We just gained all the land because of the American Revolution, right? We own everything up to the Mississippi River. What automatically are people going to do once they hear that the United States got bigger? Start moving. They're going to start moving west and start going that way. Okay? So now we have to figure out, the Artists Confederation has to figure out how are we going to manage that. What are we going to do with all this land west of the Appalachian River, or Appalachian Mountains, and east of the Mississippi River? Which they do actually figure it out and pass what? What was the one thing good that the Northwest Ordinance? Northwest Ordinance. Very good. We got it all? Yeah, remember, you need to listen too. I'm going to add stuff in there that is not necessarily up on the screen. Okay, anytime you see something in italics, all I'm doing is quoting the Constitution. You don't have to write it down. Okay? So if it's in italics, all we're looking at is we want to look at the actual wording in the Constitution. I don't expect you to write that down. You shouldn't either. The preamble to the Constitution. What's a preamble do?
Introduces the Constitution.
Introduces. It's an introduction. Okay? What's the purpose of an introduction? What do you do with it? Why do you guys, when you write essays for Miss Atkinson or any other class, have an introduction? Explain what you're doing, right? You maybe state your goals or state the purpose of the paper or whatever. And that's exactly what the preamble does in the Constitution. It says, what is the purpose of this document? This is what we're doing. Okay? The very first thing it does, though, is that it automatically establishes the people have power. Okay? And the way that it does that is the very first couple words, we the people. It's not the President of the United States or the Congress of these United States or the government of the United States. It's we the people, which automatically sets the bar and sets the precedent of popular sovereignty, that concept. That people are going to have power inside this government and people are going to be the reason that it goes. Okay? And then it lists out the goals of the Constitution and the reasons that we're going to have the new government. We want to establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity. Okay? So, what the purpose of the document is, people are going to have power, list out the goals, which we already have the goals, right? We have that from our Chapter 3 notes. Yes? Okay. Article 1. Nope, this is so my red titles up there will be a different slide. So this is a different topic, this is a different topic. And then Article 1, it'll stay Article 1 for a long time. Okay? Article 1, we should know, establishes the what branch? Legislative branch. Okay? This is the branch that makes the laws. What is the legislative branch made up of? Congress. Article 1, Section 1 establishes Congress. Congress is going to be made up of two chambers. What do we call that? Two chambers, two houses? Yeah. Bicameral. It is a bicameral legislature. Bicameral legislature. House of Representatives and a Senate. Which one's the upper house? Senate. Where did we come up with this idea? Or we just automatically just think of it? Very good. Based off the British Parliament, where you had a House of Lords and a House of Commons. So they had a bicameral system as well. Again, quoting the Constitution, this is all of Section 1. All legislative powers herein granted shall be vested in a Congress of the United States, which shall consist of a Senate and a House of Representatives. That's the entire section. Okay? That's literally all it says. So, Congress is the legislative branch. Legislative branch is made up of two houses, House of Representatives and the Senate. This is the branch that makes the laws. Doing good? See, we're already 3 slides down. That means we should get 8 done today. 5 and be done?
Yeah. That's what you said.
We'll see. Section 2. I don't know why it's doing them all at once. Section 2, we're going to talk about the House of Representatives in Section 2. There are 435 total representatives in the House of Representatives. They serve 2-year terms. Why is it so short? 2 years. Why would we only have them serve 2 years? If I only have a 2-year term, what must I do to maintain my job? To keep it? I have to do my job, first of all, right? And what happens if I don't make the people happy that I represent? They're not going to vote for me anymore. So the reason a representative's terms are so short is these are the people that are closest to the actual people. Okay? These elected officials have to please the people, because if they don't please the people, they're not going to get reelected. So they're the closest. They have to be 25 years old. They must be citizens for the United States for 7 years and a resident of the state that they represent, which is pretty self-explanatory. Right? I can't be a representative of the state of Ohio and live in the state of Missouri. Why not? Because if I'm supposed to represent the people of my district, I need to be able to live in that district or pretty close to that district. Electoral votes. We've talked about this already, so this should be a review. To win the presidency, you must win electoral votes, right? Yes. So the number of representatives that your state has, plus 2 senators, equals the number of electoral votes that your state gets. So how many does the state of Missouri have? 11. 11. We have 9 representatives and 2 senators. House of Representatives is led by the Speaker of the House, which is the leader of the majority party. What's the majority party?
The party that has the most representatives that House.
Very good. Very good. So the Speaker of the House always comes from the party that controls the House of Representatives. So right now the Republicans have more seats. Of the 435, there are more Republicans than there are Democrats. So Republicans get to choose the Speaker of the House, which is who? Come on, Google it. Who's the Speaker of the House? United States Speaker of the House. He was the vice president candidate in the last election with Mitt Romney. Paul Ryan. Paul Ryan. What state's he from? Oh, rats. Home of the Green Bay Packers. Wisconsin.
Whoa. Okay, wait, what is the majority party, like the main political party?
The party that has more seats in the House at the time. So of the 435, the majority party is the party that has more seats. Gosh dang it, why is it doing that? Alright, Article 1, Section 3. So we've already established in Section 2 the House of Representatives. Now Section 3, we need to establish the Senate and what it's going to look like. So, in the House of Representatives, how do we base representation? We based it off population. We said Missouri has 9, okay? In the Senate, how do we base representation? It's equal. Everybody has the same. So everybody has 2. Which means, if there are 50 states, how many senators are there total? 100. 100 senators, 2 from every state. Equal representation. These senators serve 6-year terms. 6-year terms. Representatives serve how many? 2 years. Why do we want senators to serve for 6? President is 4 years. Senators are 6. Let's think about this. Hypothetically, what could happen every 2 years? You could get a new representative. So hypothetically, in this 2 years, so let's say in the 2016 election, you could get 435 guys. In 2018, it's possible for what to happen? You to get 435 brand new U.S. representatives. Maybe they've never been a representative before in their entire life. So now what? We're screwed? You what? Best answer for what? I didn't ask you a question. Did I? What did I ask? Okay, what did you say? That is not the best answer. Yahoo let you down, buddy.
It's Yahoo.
That's what I figured. Yahoo answers. Okay. Back to my original question here. It's possible to get 435 brand new people every 2 years. Okay? Does it happen? Absolutely not. Okay? But hypothetically, it is possible. So, if that's going to happen, and I'm a brand new U.S. representative, we have 434 other guys who are brand new. How many of you ever had like a brand new job before? Or something, huh? You don't know what to do, right? It's new to you, so you have to kind of figure this out on the fly. And you only get 2 years, so you got to go pretty quickly. Can the government just stop and say, okay, well, hey, everybody slow down now. We got these newbies in here, and we need to kind of go slow so they can figure it out and get their feet wet and all these things. No, the government is like, hey, come on, we got to have these laws passed. We got to, you guys got to do your job and do it quickly. So we can't have that. If we have senators on 6-year terms, what can they help out with?
They introduce health and
Exactly. What we want in the Senate, the reason it's called the upper house, this is a more prestigious position. Okay? 6-year terms means that you're going to have experience inside the legislative branch at all times. So while this person in, let's just say the state of Missouri, we have 2 senators, okay? In that time frame, we have 9 representatives. They get 18 different people. Okay, if I'm from the state of Missouri and I get a new U.S. representative and I'm a senator, what should I probably do? I should probably try to go to these guys and say, hey, what do you need? What can I help you with? Those kind of things. And that's what these senators do. They allow for us to, at all times, be able to have somebody in the legislative branch that knows what the heck is going on. Okay? Now, here's the other thing up here that you should have noticed is we have staggered elections with these. And what that means is, at any one time we have 100 of them. But we don't want every 6 years to have 100 brand new ones again. So what we do is, in this even year, let's just say it's 16, we'll have 33 of them go up for election. Okay? And then in the year 18, we'll have 33 more. Different ones. And in the year 20, we'll have the last 34 go up for election.
Can they be reelected?
They can get reelected, yeah. Okay, so this is Group A, B, C. So then back in 22, who goes back up for election?
Group A.
Group A. A goes back up for election.
How many times can they get reelected?
As many times as they want. The president is the only one that has limits in the national government, yes. Okay? So, again, why do we want to do it like this? Why do we want to make sure that we stagger this out? Again, it goes back to you want to have somebody in the legislative branch that knows what's going on. You want to have experience. We can't let the government slow down at any point just because we have new people, new faces. This allows for these people to have the experience, to have the knowledge of what we've done previously and how we need to apply that to the future. Okay? So we stagger out those elections to make sure that somebody in the legislative branch, somebody in Congress has experience, knows what's happening. Okay? All right. These senators must be 30 years old. 30 years old. And they have to be a citizen of the United States, for 9 years. What do you think about those limits? 25 years old and 30 years old. I'm 28. I could be a United States representative. I will be 28. I'm not 28 right now. 27. May. Okay? Why? Why is it 25 and 30? When was this written? 1789, right? Back then, 25 and 30 years old, you probably have already been, if you're 25, you might have got married at age 16, 17. You probably already have a job for maybe up to 10 years. You're pretty established. At 25, you're pretty much like a full-fledged adult. Okay? I'm a full-fledged adult too. Don't get me wrong. Okay? But it's pretty low. We really don't have. There are some guys that have been that young, but for the most part, most representatives are over the age of 30. Most senators are over the age of 40. Okay? We don't have very many younger than that. Vice President as the leader. So the leader of the House of Representatives was who? Speaker of the House. Okay? He was a person, the Speaker of the House is an actual representative. Hold on. Listen, Linda. Okay? Speaker of the House is he's part of that 435. He's somebody that's the same exact as everybody else inside the House of Representatives. In the Senate, we have the Vice President come in as the leader of the Senate. He's not one of those 100. Okay? But if we have 2 from every state, what is it possible to have? Ties. So what the Vice President then does, basically the only thing he does inside the legislative branch is to break ties. If they have a 50-50 vote, Vice President steps in and says, I'm going to vote this way or that way. No. Oh yeah, it's happened. Yeah, but not a lot. Okay? If the Vice President is not there, let's say he's doing something else, the Senate has a majority leader and a minority leader that takes the place of him. Okay? Who's that? Same thing as the Speaker of the House, right? Majority leader is, from the Senate, would be who? A person inside the Senate from the majority party. How do I figure out the majority party? Whoever has the most senators. So let's say Republicans, I think Republicans have more. But Republicans have 54 senators out of the 100. That means they're majority party, which means they would elect a leader to take the place of the Vice President if he's not in town. Okay? The Senate acts as the court during impeachment trials. What's impeachment? To fire the president. No.
Accusing a government official of doing some sort of violation.
Very good. Very good. Impeachment means to bring charges against, and you need to write that down. Impeachment means to bring charges against a high-ranking official. You can be impeached, but not thrown out of office. Okay? If I impeach somebody, that means I'm accusing them of something. It doesn't mean that they're guilty or innocent. That has to go to trial. And what the Senate does is they're the ones that say whether or not, yes, they're guilty, or no, they're innocent and acquitted. Okay? The Senate is the one that decides, are we going to throw this person out of office, or are they going to maintain their office? Okay? So if we impeach the president, what are we going to do?
Get rid of him.
No. We are going to bring charges against him. Okay? Bill Clinton was impeached. They brought charges against him that he was committing adultery. Okay? He was not thrown out of office. The Senate found him not guilty, or they acquitted it. Okay? He was not thrown out of office. Nixon was going to be impeached, and he was going to be found guilty, but he resigned first. And then what did Gerald Ford do? His vice president who became president? Nope. Remember from last year in American history? Tom Ritchie told you all about it. Tom Ritchie's my hero. He's from South Carolina. He pardoned him. What's that mean? If the president pardons you, forgives you, basically. Gets rid of your criminal record. It totally wipes it out. Okay? So Gerald Ford came up as president. The very first thing he did says, I pardon Richard Nixon. So he didn't go to trial. He didn't do anything. Didn't serve any jail. Didn't pay a fine. Went back to his hometown and yeah. And Gerald Ford's reasoning is that he wanted the country to move forward and to stop thinking about it because it totally consumed the country for like 2 years. The Watergate scandal. Okay? Yeah. Forrest Gump was in the other hotel, and he called the police and said, hey, you all should check that out. There's that guy with a flashlight in there, and he's keeping me awake. Section 4. Section 4, elections and meetings. One thing that's pretty much common knowledge, but we need to say it. Representatives represent districts. So if we take the state of Missouri, okay? Not my best. We take the state of Missouri and we do this for representative districts, what do? We want representatives to represent pretty close to the same amount of people inside this state. So where are two of them going to be? You're going to have a Kansas City district, right, and a St. Louis district. Okay? And you're probably going to have one maybe outside of it, and another one maybe outside of that. Okay? Then you got down here, you got Springfield. You're probably going to have a Mid-Missouri one. And then one over here. And then we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's split this one. 9. Okay? Representatives represent the people inside this district. Okay, so if I'm representative number 9, I represent the 9th district from the state of Missouri. These people that live in this area, those are the people that I represent as a representative. If I'm a senator, who do I represent? The entire state. If I'm a senator, I represent the whole state. Representatives represent districts. Senators represent states. Okay? Congress has to meet at least one time every year. Now, back in 1789, this was something that was more feasible than it is now. Okay? They might only meet 1 or 2 times all year. Why? You got to take a horse from Georgia and ride it all the way up to New York or Washington, D.C., wherever the capital was at the time. Okay? That's a long trip. But why do we have to have them meet at least once? What is the most important thing that the national government must figure out at the beginning of every single year? The what? The budget. They must meet at least one time a year to discuss the budget and set a budget for the national government. Okay? Now today, they meet way more than that. Because obviously we have planes and things like that where they can go back and forth much, much quicker. Okay? But they must meet at least one time every single year. We'll do one more section. Organization, rules of procedure. A quorum. For Congress to meet, they must meet a quorum. And what that means is there has to be at least 51% from each house present. So Congress meets, they say, hey, we want to meet on March 9th, 2016. and only 46 senators show up. They can't have business. They cannot pass anything or talk about anything or nothing. They cannot meet because they don't have the 51%. In the Senate, it's a lot easier to do the percentages. Okay? 48 of them show up, you still can't do anything. You must have 51 senators there in order to meet and conduct business. Are there times where, if you've paid attention to the debates and stuff like that that's going on right now, one of the things that they bash Ted Cruz and Marco Rubio for is what? By now? That sometimes they're not there. Ted Cruz more than anybody. Okay? Donald Trump likes to throw at the people all the time that Ted Cruz misses a ton of votes, and Rubio does too, which means they're not there. They're not there when Congress conducts business, therefore they don't vote. So if you're not there, basically what are you not doing? You're not doing your job. You were elected to do this position and you're not there, and that's a problem. Okay? And that's one of the things that Donald Trump likes to throw at both of those guys is, hey, you know what? At least when I do my job, I do my job. I show up to work every single day. You were elected by the people and you don't show up to do your job. You miss a lot of votes. Okay? But they must have at least 51%. They must meet quorum before they can conduct any business. Section 6, privileges and restrictions. Representatives and senators are paid from the United States Treasury. The U.S. national government pays these people. They're the ones that pay their salaries. Even though I'm a representative from the state of Missouri, Missouri does not pay me. The national government does. Why? Why would we do that? Why would we not? If I'm a representative from the state of Missouri, you would think the Missouri would pay me to do my job, right? Why would we rather have the national government pay them? So we don't lose money as a state? Maybe. National government's going to lose money. Well, not really losing money if they're doing their job, right? Think about it. If I have a representative from the state of West Virginia compared to the representative from the state of California, which state has more money? California by far, right? Why would we want those two guys to be paid the exact same amount? Exactly. We want all these representatives to do the exact same job. Okay? If they're going to do the exact same job, they need to be paid the exact same amount. It doesn't matter where they're from. Okay? We shouldn't have one state be paying their representatives one thing and another state paying their representatives a different thing. We want them all to be paid the same. Therefore, the only way to do that is for them to be paid by the national government. Okay? Now, the other thing that you've been typing out and not listening is immunities. Immunities. So now that you've typed it out and read it at the same time, what are they immune to? If I'm a United States Senator and I go up there to argue about a bill from Texas and I think that is absolutely astronomical, it's horrible, right? What do I not want the guy from Texas to be able to do? Sue me, right? Why would we not want representatives or senators to be suing each other for what they say? Exactly. They're not going to say what they really think. So we want senators and representatives to be honest and to be truthful and to say what their opinion really is. Okay? In order to do that, they have to feel comfortable that what they say is not going to be used against them. So we set this in there. We say, hey, if they say something in Congress, they talk about your mama, and you don't like it, you cannot sue them for talking about your mama. Okay? Maybe it does happen sometimes. Not like it. Okay? They also cannot be arrested while they're in session for anything minor. Okay? So I've got unpaid parking tickets. We don't want the Washington, D.C. police coming into Congress and saying, representative from the state of Missouri, you've been illegally parked. I'm going to take you to jail. Why? Why do we not want that to happen? Which is more important? For him to do his job in the United States Congress, or for him to pay his parking tickets right there, right now? Do his job. It's a national government. It's a lot of people on the line. We want them to do their job first. You can wait until they're out of session, which means they just go back home. Then you can arrest them. Then you can do whatever you got to do. Okay? Now, let's say that the senator from the state of South Dakota is a drug lord and has been smuggling cocaine across the Canadian border. We just found out, we got it pinned. We know it. It's him. We can interrupt Congress then and come in and say, hey, you know what? Kind of a big deal. You are going to jail. Okay? Or murder or something like that. If it's a big crime, yes, you can come in and you probably need to arrest that person pretty quickly. But if it's something minor, speeding tickets, something like that, even somebody is suing you from outside of Congress, that stuff can all wait until they get done with their session. Okay? So you are immune from getting arrested while you're in session, unless it's a huge, huge crime. Treason would be another one, breaking the peace, things like that. What do you think it means? Disturbing the peace? So like I streaked through the quad? Is that disturbing the peace? No, it's a little bit more serious than that. So like maybe I'm stealing secrets or doing something like that. Stealing secrets, sending secrets, like nuclear secrets to the Soviet Union or something like that back in the day. That would be breaking the peace. Okay? They also cannot have any other job in government. Now this one's kind of interesting because this has been broken a couple times. But technically, if I'm a senator or representative, I cannot be any other thing in government. Now, one person that I know of is Huey Long. You remember who Huey Long is? He was the governor of, he got around it through a legal loophole, but he was the governor of Louisiana during FDR's presidency. He was a critic of the New Deal, and he had the share our wealth societies. He thought you should make $1 million. After $1 million, everything else you make after that should be put into a big, huge pot and then split out evenly among everybody. Okay? He was the governor of Louisiana and a senator from the state of Louisiana all at the same time. Technically, he was the senator, but he was basically controlling the governorship at the same time. Eventually, he gets assassinated. Not good for him. Okay?
So they can work any other job, it's not government.
So yeah, if I want to be a McDonald's cashier on the weekends and be a United States representative at the same time, yes, technically I can do that. Does it happen? No. These guys are making way too much money to do that kind of stuff. But can they own their own business? Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Okay? All right. We will stop there for today.